Hello everyone, welcome to the PHATcast. This is a new sort of podcast thing I'm hoping to be doing a bit more regularly. Or I'd like to do it regularly anyway. But today we're going to be talking about the 3DS, as it's just been announced that it's discontinued and Nintendo will no longer be making any more products for it. So today I've got my friends Joe, ACJ, Deku, Tom, and G98, Gavin.
Hi.
And today we're just going to be talking about sort of our memories of the 3DS, because it's been a 10-year-old system, 9-year-old system, come out in 2011, I believe. So yeah. I thought the way we'll just talk about it today is I'd sort of go over our initial reactions right up until the console is dead, really, because it's dead. RIP.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And again, F in the chat, people.
So yeah, let's just talk about our initial reactions to the system, really, because it was announced at E3 2010. So yeah, I mean, what did you guys think of it when we first saw it? Because we've just been with the DS for around 6 years, I think. And it was kind of a similar system.
I remember not having much interest in it at all.
Really?
I remember. Well, I was like, I was one of these who was like, it's just a gimmick, another gimmick by Nintendo. You know what I mean? Because I'd seen because 3D TVs were like. They were kind of popping at the time, weren't they? It was like that one,
They were, yeah.
It was like that 3-year period where, for some reason, everyone wanted 3D TVs. And my friend had one, and I remember it giving me a headache, and I was like, these things suck. So they announced the 3DS, and I was like, all right, whatever. What about you, Ben?
It was a huge gimmick, because I know at the time, I think Nintendo wanted to do like 3D for years. That was the whole thing with the Virtual Boy, right?
And the GameCube for a while.
Yes, yeah, the GameCube as well. So then when the technology finally caught up, they was able to do it in a handheld without any glasses, which it was a gimmicky feature, but it was like a big thing at the time. It was kind of like when the DS came out with the touchscreen. That was a massive thing at the time. And then I think everyone thought 3D was like the next big thing. Well, even with the 3DS, it wasn't perfect because I can't remember which way they did it, but the original 3DS models, when they first come out, if you weren't right in front of them, you couldn't really get the 3D to work properly. It'd always go a bit blurry. I don't know if anyone else remembers that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, it was auto stereoscopic. That's why.
That's the one. Yeah.
It also didn't have like the face tracking like the newer models did.
And it took a few years for the new models to come out as well. But I remember thinking when the 3DS first got announced that. I was really excited for the Circle Pad because I've seen for years the PSP have one, and I just thought that'd be so much better for like 3D movement, especially with like the more graphical prowess that the 3DS had. It
always seemed like the PSP leaned a bit closer to like console kind of games than the DS did.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and I think the DS outshines the PSP like hugely, but like even back in the day, you'd see someone playing some like. I remember someone was playing. I think there's a Jak and Daxter game, but it's just called Daxter. I think you just play as a little rodent thing
on the PSP.
Yeah, it's just a PS. I remember my friend had that, and I was watching it like, this game doesn't look that great, but like it looks like a console game.
Yeah,
compared to the
DS really.
Phantom Hourglass. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, it's strange really because with the DS and 3DS, I'd say with all Nintendo's handhelds, they catered their games very much to a handheld system. Where I feel like maybe the PSP and PS Vita, like you said, just wanted to kind of emulate the feeling of console.
Yeah.
What did you think, Tom? Anyway, to the 3DS when it first got announced.
I thought it was really cool. I remember reading about it because I used to have Nintendo magazines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. And
I mean, I was more of an gamer person, but that's just the kind of cool guy I am.
I also like that it was compatible with DS games as well.
Yeah, that was a big thing because I think that's something that Nintendo really wanted to do at the time because they obviously had the Wii backwards compatible with the GameCube, and then they had the 3DS backwards compatible with the DS. But I never used the backwards compatibility for the 3DS because I didn't like how blurry it made some games.
Yeah.
True.
I'm the same. I had like my DS for Pokemon Pearl, my 3DS for 3DS games. I was still on Pearl.
I remember playing Pokemon Black and White on it just to test it out, and it made the game look so blurry instead of sharp. Because on the normal DS model, it's kind of sharp, especially when you see all like the pixels moving because the Pokemon were animated.
Yeah, the image was a little washed out on 3DS.
Yeah, it was washed out. Yeah, it was kind of strange, but I mean, it was good for people who didn't have a DS because they have like thousands of games to enjoy.
It practically doubled the library for the 3DS.
Yeah, it did. And I also had because there was a lot of technology. It was kind of like a Joy-Con before a Joy-Con because it had so much technology packed into one thing. Because I've obviously had the 3D, it had a gyroscope. So it had motion control in some games, which was a bit, and a lot of them were like the built-in games. Like remember Face Raiders?
I was about to mention Face Raiders. I remember I have quite a strong memory of passing it around in my. So I would have been in like year 10, 11 when it came out, and I have a memory of like passing around my 3DS and people taking a picture and playing that game and being like, "Whoa, it's crazy!" You look back at it now, you're like, "Oh, it's terrible. It's like nothing. It's the most nothing game ever." But people loved it to use the gyro.
But it kind of reminds me of the like the apps you can get now, like face swap apps and stuff like that. It's like that, but before
the camera had a face swap, didn't it?
What on the 3DS?
I remember using it all the time.
I don't remember. It's been.
It was that or the DSi.
No, trust me, it wasn't quite like the face swaps you get now. Like it literally just like cut out your face and slapped on someone else's. But it definitely had it. I'll try. I might even have some of the pictures on my 3DS still. I'll see if I can get them up or something.
I'll say if you can find them, Joe, I'll try and slap them on the video.
Because there's one where I won't go into it, but there's just a funny one where it made my friend look really like fat because of the oppositions kind of thing. Made him look like he had a big head kind of thing. But again, I was like, it was like, what game's gonna? Oh, I got Street Fighter, but whatever. Forget about that. Look at this. Look at Face Raiders.
There was the AR games as well, wasn't there?
Oh, I loved them.
I loved them for like a week. Then, but to be fair, like there was a lot of stuff packed into them. Like, do you remember the target practice one?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, the AR games.
Yeah, and you have to shoot them, and then I think they had multiple levels, right? It was fun. It was a fun little distraction to someone to do like straight out of the box. I think.
I remember the Street Pass stuff. I remember was like crazy. Like you know the little Me Plaza and all that.
Yeah. That was good if you actually lived places where like other people had 3DSs.
Ooh.
Yes. Gavin.
Yes, I know. I used to take my 3DS to town whenever I went there, and I was always get Street Pass hits. I don't anymore.
No. Well, at one point they, which was better for me, was they would have it so when you would walk past places with your 3DS, the 3DS would connect to a certain like Wi-Fi network or something, and it would like store people's details in it, 3DS details.
But even when those were set up, I stopped getting them eventually.
That's a shame.
Because nobody brought their 3DS with them anymore.
I will say that because Gavin always used to get mad at me for not having any puzzle pieces because you collect puzzle pieces for different.
Hey, puzzle swap is serious business, all right?
I enjoyed puzzle swap. I enjoyed puzzle swap and like it was a nice little distraction. It was really. I'm surprised they didn't put it in the Switch, to be honest, because it was like such a big thing, and it even like brought people together via Street Pass groups and whatnot, because that was a big thing at the time as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
did you ever 100?
Sorry, Tom. Carry on.
I was saying, did you ever 100% puzzle swap, Gavin?
Yes.
Wow.
Gamer.
King gamer.
I remember I went to Eurogamer. I think it was just before they changed to EGX, like the big conference sort of thing.
Oh
Not
yeah.
conference, all sorts of new games and stuff. And I brought my 3DS there, and I got like, because I remember it being weird because on Awakening, Fire Emblem Awakening, like you could have like 99 out of 99 Street Pass hits. But like, and I hit that because there was just so many people who had 3DSs at this thing. But then like, I ended up with like 2 lots of them, so I had like 200. And I don't know if it was like an intentional feature or like a glitch or something. But on Awakening,
strange.
On Awakening, like on that save file I had like probably like 300 hours played in it or something. I just had like an endless amount of like Street Pass battles to play.
I'm pretty sure I've still got a load of Street Pass hits saved up for games like that. Because some of them just they took so many, like you were saying, Joe, like 99, whereas some games took like 10.
Yeah.
I think the cap was kind of silly though, to be honest. It was silly if you were in a place where you could get hits easily. Whereas, if it was somewhere like me, where no one's got a 3DS, I'd like hinge on those 10 hits for months.
We had at my college, must have been like about 15 people in sort of like, where I went to college there was our gaming class, then like a media class. And between the two or three classes, there's about 15 or so people who had 3DSs. But because we only ever saw each other, like the puzzle pieces were still quite hard to get a hold of.
Yeah,
so like
we're in the same group.
Like one person, like, no one even really talked to each other. We just knew each other on 3DS sort of thing. And there's not much communication things, but someone get a new puzzle piece. And I remember like, mate was like, "Oh, that John from 2FSB has got the puzzle piece to like so and so." And it was like, what?
Well, there was some because there was also Spot Pass because that was. I mean, now you just say it's an update, but at the time, like Nintendo made it a big thing out of this Spot Pass thing. So even with Street Pass games like Puzzle Swap, sometimes they would let you download a puzzle piece from the internet. But for some, I think it was the pink pieces, you could only get them via Street Passing.
Yeah.
Those were the worst ones to get.
Yeah, especially for me, you just couldn't get shit. I was a beggar in the streets for them.
It's a shame. I think that's the main reason the Switch probably doesn't have it is because of the battery life, probably, which is a bit of a shame, really.
That's true, yeah. I mean, even for like, I remember when, because like, if you think about the DS, I think that had about 15 hours of battery life, and then when they went to the 3DS, it
was like 5 hours.
It was like a quarter of what was there before.
It's like as technology gets better, batteries get worse.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even my new 3DS now, that I have to charge that after like maybe 1 or 2 uses.
Yeah.
So if we're going back to 2010, so we've got all that out of the way. That was like our initial reaction to the system. Joe was pretty indifferent. I think the rest of us were fairly excited, especially because they showed games like Mario Kart and Paper Mario. I was so excited for Paper Mario. We'll get to that in a bit, but it looked a lot different than the final game. And I think it's strange really because I think Mario Kart 7, the 3DS one, that come out only 3 years after the Wii version, which the Wii version was insanely popular.
And it's still selling to this day somehow.
Yeah, it's selling over 30 million copies. I think it wasn't long ago.
My copy is only good for modding nowadays.
Hey, you can still create your own tracks and whatnot now, though, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
The game still lives.
I mean, it's only popular with the modding community because it's on the Wii. The Wii's like open source now.
Yeah. So if we're moving into 2011, the 3DS finally launches, and at the time that it launched, it was, I believe, £230, which is
something like that.
Definitely the most expensive handheld I think that was released. I don't even think the PSP was that expensive.
No, definitely not.
So it didn't have a great start either. Like pretty famously, everyone was like, "Nintendo's doomed. The 3DS is going to fail," and I think part of that is due to the pretty weak launch lineup. I mean, what did you guys think of that? Because who actually got their 3DS on launch day or the launch window?
I did.
I did.
I actually went to the midnight launch for it.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about? I mean, the 3DS when you first got it. Then I mean, we'll start with you, Joe, and then head to Tom and then Gavin.
Well, so I played my DS quite a fair bit because I used to play it all the time. Then I got a 360, and then that basically took over as like my main console. So then we have like a home console. But then I'd play my DS on the way to my dad's house, right? And at one point, the hinge broke on my normal DS, and I was like, "Oh crap!" So like, I couldn't really play it in the car because it would just shut because like it didn't stay up. The like locking system that like kind of keeps it from flopping.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You have to like kind of hold it a certain way.
Yeah. So I can't remember why that happened, but I was talking to my dad, and then he was like, "Oh, well, you've passed your mock GCSEs, so I'm going to get you a present." I can't remember why this came about, but he was like, "I'm going to get you a present," which is very unusual for my dad. But I was like, "Oh, well." I was like, "Well, I need a new DS." I was like, "Because it's broken." And then he was like, "We're looking online for a new DS," and he was like, "Oh, what is new 3DS?" And I was like, "I don't need a 3DS." And he was like, "Oh, we'll get you a new 3DS." And I was like, "Oh, whatever. It plays DS games, like, and I get a new console." And I was like, "That's pretty cool." And he was like, "What games do you want?" I was like, "Well, let's see what's available, shall we?" And this is where you might need to jump in because I remember they're not looking so great.
I mean, there's not much to jump in with. It wasn't great. I mean, what did you end up getting for it when you first got it?
I got Super Street Fighter 4 3DS because I love Street Fighter. And I remember looking at the game, I was like, oh, I'll get Street Fighter, I love Street Fighter. And he goes, isn't that a 2D game and you get a 3D console? And then I was just like, yeah, I guess.
Yes. The classic.
And I was like, so I got Street Fighter, and I remember playing it with a 3D, and I was like, oh, and it blew me away. But like, we can knock Street Fighter 4 for whatever we want, but that is a really solid port on the 3DS. Like,
Yeah. That was one of the first games I got too.
it's basically the same as Super Street Fighter 4 on the Xbox, apart from some lower textures, and it's a bit of a lower frame rate. But not honestly, like, it honestly blew me away. So I was like, I'm playing Street Fighter on like a handheld, whereas before I was playing like, Pokemon Pearl. It's not exactly. I mean, a great game, but it's not like a console game, really, is it?
I mean, the 3D. I mean, just in terms of how much more powerful the 3DS was, I think people didn't sort of realize at the time.
Yeah, because I just thought it was gonna be a DS but 3D, and
Yeah.
yeah, but I played it with the 3D. I got a headache, so I turned it off, and I don't think I ever turned it on again. But I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, but
You're not the only one.
enough about me.
What did you think, Tom?
I can't exactly. I think I got the 3DS. I don't think I got any games with it. I think it was literally just the 3DS.
Face raiders.
yeah.
Best launch title.
But I remember the first game I bought for it was Ocarina of Time.
Ah, yes.
That's a bit later on, wasn't it? I think after the launch.
Yeah, I think so.
God, you were without a game for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I had
Face
the Wii to
Raiders.
keep me
We
I
just
busy.
said.
suppose you had DS games, I suppose. So yeah.
I had Pokemon Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that I think pretty sure Pokemon Black it came out the same month as the 3DS, right?
Yeah, just a few weeks before.
Yeah, so there was definitely something. I think the eyes were still on the DS. I think at that time.
Yeah.
What about you, Gavin? How did you feel when the 3DS launched?
Well, I actually got to demo the 3DS before it came out, because like a few weeks before it came out, there was like a kiosk in town that Nintendo set up where you could demo the 3DS, and I of course went there and I tried it out, and I was blown away because films like Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, just took the world by storm, and it really did seem like that kind of 3D was going to be the future. So to see it in games, it just seemed like this was the future.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yes. My only complaint was the launch lineup was really bad. Nintendo rarely does good launches, to be fair.
And yeah, this one was no different. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
the only game
of.
the only game I was interested in was Pilot Wings Resort, and even then that was more like a glorified tech demo. I mean, it did the job, but paying £40 for that, yeah, that was a bit steep, I felt. But there was just nothing else.
But this is it, because I think there was only 3 games, right? The only ones I could think of is Pilot Wings, Steel Diver, and Super Street Fighter 4.
Was there any Nintendo games? Mario or anything?
No. And that's one of the main reasons why the 3DS struggled for a while. The launch just wasn't good.
I think that was a Dead or Alive game. I seem to remember.
Yeah, I think that came out in the launch window. Did
you not take notes on this? What the fuck did this console launch with? Was it just not even worth writing them down?
Well, I just knew it had a pitiful launch. I mean, I ended up getting my 3DS a few months later. Like, when Ocarina of Time 3D came out.
Yeah, that was like the first proper, AAA game.
I think it came out in June or July.
June. Yeah, just
in June
later.
Yeah, because I was kind of the same as you, Gavin. Because when I first got my, I'll set the stage because at the time, I got really lucky because, just to jump ahead a bit, I think it was July or August of 2011, the 3DS was doing so badly that Nintendo decided to do a big price cut. And I think I believe they cut it from 230 to 180. And I got really lucky. It was 150, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm still classing this as quite lucky then because at the time, there was a deal going on game, and it was a brand new 3DS for £180 with Ocarina of Time 3D. So I my birthday was in October, and I said to my mum, "You can if you get me this now, I can wait until my birthday to have it. But I'm letting you know this is an amazing deal. Like you'd be silly not to get this. Yeah. I'll wait. Just get me it now."
Even the retailers knew it was too expensive for most people, so they did a price cut themselves.
It seemed like some places got really desperate. So my mum ended up getting me it, and I was the same as you, Gavin. When I turned on Ocarina of Time 3D for the first time, put the 3D on, I was like, "Holy shit!" It really knocked my socks off.
Yeah, the 3D and the new graphics just do that game justice, because even I'll admit the original Ocarina of Time hasn't aged the best graphically. Like, all those muddy N64 textures, that stiff animation, the 20 FPS, like the 3DS version really brings new life into it.
I was going to say, because what frame rate is the 3D? The 3D
30.
version? Is it 30? I think compared to the original, it seems so much faster. I thought it was 60 odd.
Well, yeah, they had to redo the animation so they wouldn't look too fast, basically.
I'm kind of similar to you though, Joe. Like I like the 3D as like a novelty, like it really blew me away. But then I didn't really use it too much afterwards. It was mainly because I prefer to have more battery than to use the 3D.
Yeah.
To think that the 3D was just a fad at the time.
It's weird that stuff like the camera and the gyro got like so much more mileage out of it. Like, I don't want to jump ahead to Ocarina of Time, but aiming with the bow in that game with the gyro controls, I was like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
Yeah, the slingshot too.
Yeah.
They should have called it Gyro DS. Like, no one cared about
the Gyro DS or the movable DS. The 3D's an afterthought.
So we all got the 3DS before the price cut, then, right?
Yeah, we all became ambassadors, didn't we?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was leading on to. Because after the 3DS price cut, Nintendo didn't want people to feel like they got cheated out of paying the full price for the 3DS. So they ended up making these people ambassadors.
We're sorry we overcharged you.
Yeah, and to be honest, I will accept their apology, because what we ended up getting was 10 free NES games, and more importantly, 10 free Game Boy Advance games digitally on the system.
Yeah.
And originally, I think they said that they were going to try and make NES and Game Boy Advance games publicly available at a later date. And the NES ones did become available, but the Game Boy Advance ones never did. So the only way to play them officially on the 3DS is through this ambassador program. So we got pretty lucky with that.
Massive missed opportunity, though. Like, GBA Virtual Console would have been a big selling point for the 3DS, in my opinion.
Yeah, same here.
Like, it seemed natural. Like, we were shown, we were shown that the 3DS can emulate GBA games, so why not go all the way with it?
There are no save states, though, were there, with the Game Boy games, which is weird.
Neither did the NES games, though, when they first got released. It was when they got released publicly that they put all the save states in. And I'm pretty sure that they said later on that because they couldn't emulate the Game Boy Advance games to a certain stability, like the NES games, they just didn't bother releasing them, which I think is a massive missed opportunity. Was you going to say something about that, Joe?
I was just going to say, the only reason I can think is that, like, maybe they were planning to do, like, a big, like, I don't know, say with, like, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, because that's the one I always remember from that Ambassador program. If they remade that, like, as a full-blown thing, maybe they wanted to, like, kind of push for more stuff like that. As opposed to, like, I don't know, like, virtual console games for 10 quid a pop or whatever. They could, like, I don't know, bundle them together for, like, 40 quid. Maybe that was the plan at one point. I'm not entirely sure, but, and yeah, it's bizarre that, like, because we saw the technology was there, we saw the emulator. I mean, I had no problems with any of the games I played on the emulator. So, like, the idea of, like, being able to buy, like, Pokemon Sapphire, Pokemon, like, Black and White, all these crazy not DS games, Game Boy games.
Yeah.
Is just alien. It's got to be one of the weirdest decisions Nintendo's ever made.
The thing is, at that point, because they even put Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on
and
the
Game Gear
eShop.
as well.
And what, sorry?
Game Gear as well, they had some Game Gear games.
So
Not
they could have had like an all-in-one handheld.
Yeah.
The only thing that was missing was the Game Boy Advance, really.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a big shame.
And Atari Link.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't do that.
Is there anything on the Atari Link's worth playing?
I think it's a novelty.
I guess so.
Like, I'm pretty sure I played one of the Sonic Game Gear games, and it's like, why would you ever play this?
Just play the Master System version.
My daddy's like, when we were kids, and I don't really remember this too much, but my dad had a choice of getting a Game Boy and a Game Gear, and for some reason he bought a fucking Game Gear. And we had the Sonic Game Gear game in it. I remember that quite fondly, and some like F1 racing game. And I remember we only had it for a short amount of time, and then my dad like I guess he like took it away from us for some reason. I can't remember why, but we couldn't play him anymore. He was like, no, this is mine. I was like, all right. And then I remember him like digging it out at some point, and the batteries had like leaked in it and just killed it.
Oh god, yeah.
And then that was the end of that. And it's like, I remember like, that's such a weird memory of mine because I really don't have any fond memories of it at all. I just remember having it, playing Sonic for a bit, and then it just disappearing, and then eventually just breaking. And like, all right, cool, great. And I could have had a Game Boy and probably played like Pokemon and all that, but now we've got the Game Gear that's like just like useless.
I think the Game Gear was way more expensive at the time as well, right? Because it showed colour.
Yeah, I think that's why. Well, I think that's why my dad saw it. He was like, "Oh, it's colourful," and this other one is not colourful.
Yeah, and it also had the backlight. Yeah,
God bless him.
back in those days.
Oh yeah, that was a massive thing. Yeah.
Yeah, even the Lynx had one.
So moving on for the Ambassador program, let's move on to. I'm not going to go through every single 3DS release, but I thought I'd try and highlight some of the big ones.
Releases, yeah.
Yeah, and the first one I could think of after Ocarina of Time 3D was the first original, really the first original big game for the system, and that was Super Mario 3D Land.
The game that saved the 3DS.
That was a big hitter for the. I think it came out around the holidays as well, so
Yeah.
It really drove 3DS sales, especially with the price cut. I think that's when that really kicked off the 3DS's start, because I think Mario Kart 7 come out a few weeks afterwards as well.
Yeah. The other game that saved the 3DS.
What did you guys think about those two games? Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7, if you played them.
Really, really good, of course. Like, Mario 3D Land is like the best of 2D and 3D Mario combined into one.
Mm.
And Mario Kart 7 is better than Mario Kart Wii, so of course I like it.
Oh, hot take. Spicy.
I argue Mario Kart 7 was, I mean, in some ways it's better than 8, I think. Well, I don't know about 8 Deluxe, because I haven't really played that much, but the original 8, definitely.
And
It is a really good game.
And then Mario Kart 7 was the first 3DS game to have patches. But I say it was
Yes.
like the Nintendo game that had patches because they were ultra shortcuts.
Well, we played, I think it was it Woohoo Island and Woohoo
Yeah, the
Mountain?
Woohoo Island tracks had the ultra shortcuts that got patched out. You could still do them in time trial, but you couldn't do them online.
Well, we played a lot of Mario Kart 7 when it came out.
I mean, I tried to, but my wireless wheel just wasn't having any of it. My 3DS just couldn't work for some reason.
I remember you had a really big problem with connecting to the internet with your 3DS for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the wireless router we were having. Like, we didn't get a new one until a few years later, but once we did, then suddenly it was all good.
It was bliss.
Absolute bliss.
Because I do remember at the time, me and Tom and Gavin and two of our friends, Benjo and Sophie, we played Mario Kart like every night for the next 2 months.
Really?
Since it come out, yeah. I got so angry because everyone kept using the fucking shortcut. do you remember my rage? I was like, for fuck's sake!
Well,
Do not jump in the pond!
It's a feature.
Is this like a glitch for shortcut, or is it?
Don't get mad at them lot. Get mad at the testers for not catching it.
I know. I should have done it as well. I was at the time. I was definitely one of those that was like, "No, you're cheating."
That's funny because honestly, if some shit like that came out in Smash, you would be on the forefront.
I know.
Something like that.
How do I abuse this shit? It wasn't hard to do either. It wasn't like a speedrunning tactic. Like all you had to do was jump in this pond and boom, you're at the top of the mountain. Any fucker could do it. But I did enjoy Mario Kart 7. It was great. And then afterwards, I think also for that Christmas, I ended up getting Pokemon Rumble Blast. That was a fucking terrible game. I hated that game.
I just don't like Pokemon Rumble in general.
Is that the one where you spin around on the stylus?
No, that's Ranger.
That's Ranger.
It's the what would you classify it as? It's where you have these wind-up toy Pokemon, and you just had to battle hordes upon hordes of other enemy Pokemon toys. And it's all you do for the whole game.
This could be a joke or a lie. Wind up Pokemon, did you say?
Yeah, no, it is. It's they're like toy Pokemon that get wound up to get bigger, and then the way I describe it is like a top-down beat 'em up with one button.
What's it called? Pokemon Rumble?
Pokemon Rumble, yeah. It started on the WiiWare, then it got a 3DS sequel, and then it got like a freemium game. Like, it's not a very good series, honestly.
Mate, honestly, I've never heard of this game before.
Oh, and also
Right?
it had a game on the Wii U where you actually had Toys to Life before Amiibo.
Well, we'll check that out at some point. Give it a go.
It's
But
not a
don't,
good
it's
series.
not good.
No.
It was fucking awful. I'm pretty sure it was the first 3DS game that I sold.
Oh, you selling a game? Jesus
I
Christ!
know. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah.
Pokemon spin-offs, they're really hit or miss.
I think that's the reason why I was excited. Well, I didn't ask for it, but I know that's one of the reasons why I got it and was like, we'll see what this is like, because it was the first Pokemon 3DS game, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, right.
So at the time as well, I was Pokemon mad, so I would have bought anything with Pokemon on.
And now look what Pokemon's become.
Is it bad that I didn't play any of these games and I was just playing the shitty BlazBlue port on 3DS?
I was going to say, because I didn't play this, but I know Joe is like a massive fan of BlazBlue. And which one was it called? Continuum Shift?
Continuum Shift 2.
I see. And this was your first BlazBlue game, was it?
No, no. Well, let me I'll say this as quick as I can.
Fucking hell, alright.
Right, so, here's where it gets confusing. I'm going to say as quick as I can. So, the first game was Calamity Trigger, and that's the one I played at first, right? And then they released a sequel. No, that was on Xbox.
Alright.
And then there's one called Continuum Shift after that. Alright, and here's where it gets bananas, right? So, they made a new game called Continuum Shift 2, which is only in Japan, and they released all of the new characters as DLC in America, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's how it went down.
Okay.
So, in America, in West, I guess, it was Continuum Shift, and in Japan it was Continuum Shift 2. But then some insane person, I guess, was just like, I've got a brilliant idea. Let's release a handheld version, and we'll call it Continuum Shift 2 everywhere. So I bought this 3DS game, thinking it was the new BlazBlue that wasn't on consoles yet. When in actuality, it was just the old BlazBlue with the DLC on it.
That is very strange.
And then I bought it, and then they announced a new game like straight away.
I mean, was you annoyed? Because at least you had it on a handheld.
I was annoyed, I guess, and also like it was a really bad port.
No, I was annoyed.
Because also like they delayed it and all this stuff. But it was. I mean, I played a ton of it on 3DS.
Yeah.
Just because like I really liked BlazBlue, and it was just whenever the 3DS really turned into like a nice like handheld fighting game thing for me. Just like, oh, I'm bored. I'm just gonna play like the arcade mode of Street Fighter for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's very pick up and play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the BlazBlue 3DS, despite its shortcomings on like audio and graphics and stuff, like it was really crunchy, like distorted audio, sounded really bad. And but like the mini games and stuff in it were just so good for picking up and playing that like I just pumped so many hours into it. But yeah, enough about BlazBlue. It was all right. It was good. It was a PSP port. They fucked up several things, and it didn't have online.
Oh wow, really?
No.
I mean, had online, right, on the 3DS?
Yeah, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't play much of. Like, I played a bit of Street Fighter 4 because the only games I had was that and Ocarina of Time at the time when I first got the 3DS. But I didn't keep the game very long. I enjoyed it, but it's not one I was thinking about keeping.
It's a really. I mean, any of the fighting games of 3DS are really weird exposures to them, just because the 3DS is just not built for.
Yeah, that's like kind of how I felt with it, especially because I know in Street Fighter 4 you could, it was like you could do your touch controls, and it would just do like a special move straight away without an input. Yeah,
that's why it was like online was just so like nonsense because people just like they wouldn't even put any normal buttons on like the actual like commands. They would just like put in a combo kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then you press like 3 buttons and you just do like half of someone's health. It was just nonsense.
So
sorry.
Moving into 2012. Yeah. No, it's okay. That's all right. Moving into 2012, the 3DS XL was released, the big model. Did anyone end up getting an XL?
No.
Did it because you already had it, or was just
no?
I like my portable consoles to be portable. Thank you.
That's kind of how I felt.
Good segment. None of us. Fuck that.
Honestly.
I know a lot of people like the 3DS XL.
Tim had a big one, and I remember him showing me it at one point, and I was like, "Oh man, that is actually really good." Because at the time, I was like, "Oh, whatever." But
what was you going to say, Gavin? Sorry.
I just said absolute unit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, hench. I mean, I didn't mind it. It's not like I said. I'm with you, Gavin. I prefer to keep my portable consoles as compact as possible. But I will admit, I was the same as you, Jay. Like, I think my friend Dan, he was playing Pokemon Sun on it, and I was watching him play that, and I was like, holy shit, this looks loads better on the XL than it does on my 3DS. But I never ended up getting one because I'm not paying another £200 for a system I already have.
Especially because we were the ambassadors, already spent an arm and a leg.
That's it, yeah. So the first big game that I could probably think of in 2012 was Kid Icarus Uprising. That was I'm going to say right now one of my favourite games on the system.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the game's great, but don't play for more than an hour.
Yeah, at the time when it came out, it was quite controversial because the controls were said to make your hand really cramped.
Like, even to this day, I cannot defend the controls. Like, if the game was designed with those controls in mind, then I would have tolerated it more, but it still felt like you were handicapped a little.
Didn't it come with a stand that,
Yeah. To try to ease the cramps you could get.
It was a game that was almost perfect for that Control Pro, the 3DS Pro thing. You know, the circle
Pad
pad.
Pro, yeah. Just make your 3DS thicker.
Oh, that had that was really good for Snake Eater. I think you had to use it for Snake Eater.
Yeah, it was required, I think.
You know what's weird? I'll just say this quick about that Snake Eater port is that that has a bunch of enhanced features in it. It's got a bunch of new textures.
I always forget about that game.
It's the only version of Snake Eater where you can crouch walk, I believe.
Oh wow!
And they re-released the HD ports in probably about a year after it came out, or maybe probably about 2012, 2013, I think. And they it was just a port of the PS2 version. So there was this 3DS version that you had to buy this ridiculous side-on thing for it.
Yeah.
And it had loads of new stuff in it, but it's never been that new stuff's never been added to any other version of Snake Eater. It's really weird.
That's a shame, really. It reminds me of games like Final Fantasy VI, because I know when that was released on the Game Boy Advance, I had a ton of extra dungeons and stuff. But that version of the game wasn't put. I mean, it's on Steam now, I think. But for years, that version of the game never got ported. It was always the SNES or PS1 version.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how
you missed out on all these cool features. Yeah, a bit weird. So yeah, Kid Icarus Uprising. I find it to be one of the best games on the system. I think even now it's technically impressive, especially when it came out only into a year of the 3DS's lifespan.
Yeah, even to this day, it still amazes me.
I still see people begging for it to be on the Switch.
I do too, or a sequel to be made.
Well, Sakurai's too busy with Smash right now.
He did say at the time as well he didn't want to make a sequel.
Sakurai's weird. He's a weirdo.
He's weird, but he's brilliant.
He's like, I made this really cool game. I'm done with that though.
I actually remember not being interested in Uprising until I think you guys got it, Gavin and Tom. You two bought it in front of me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'll get it now.
Yeah, it's like, you guys win again.
So, I mean, multiplayer was great as well. And it's unbalanced as fuck. There's some broken stuff you can do in there, but it is still really fun to this day, I think.
Yeah.
That's the main reason I want it on Switch. What was that, Tom? Sorry.
You were really good at it. You with that ice power you had.
Ben's good at almost every game he plays. Especially Smash.
Thanks, Gavin.
I know, I was playing on Blaze Blue.
Yeah,
let's talk about Blaze Blue.
Enough of that.
Another game that was really big around that time was Fantasy Life. I don't know if anyone actually got that, but that was in all the Street Pass groups. That's all I saw anyone playing was Fantasy Life.
Yeah,
it was an RPG from level 5.
Is that Tomodachi thing, or is that someone else?
No, that was different.
Oh, okay.
What did you say, Gavin? Sorry.
It's like, the Street Pass groups were pretty. We were really hyping that game up. I remember.
Yeah.
I was wondering, what even is this game?
I think it was a half life sim and a half RPG, like dungeon crawler. A bit like Stardew Valley. Like Stardew Valley took a lot of things from Fantasy Life, I think. But the next thing that I suppose we move on to is it was the first Mario Sports game, which is Mario Tennis Open. I don't know how you guys felt about this because it was a really strange game.
It was a very basic Mario Tennis game, definitely not the best. It's there. The online is terrible. I remember that.
Yeah.
It lagged a lot, and if somebody rage quit before you took the win, then the win didn't count, and that was so infuriating.
Yeah.
Nice.
What did you? Because I think you had a little story about it, Tom.
Oh god. So I remember travelling to Manchester because they had those QR codes you had to
Oh
scan
yeah,
your
for
DS to
multicolored
unlock.
images.
Yeah, and I distinctly remember in Manchester Roundale there was a kiosk where you could play against each other, against members of the public. And I met Gavin there, and Gavin was beating everybody. And the guy at the kiosk was like, "If anyone can beat this guy, I'll buy you a Nando's."
Oh yeah, that did happen.
Did anyone beat him?
Of course.
No,
Did he
he
give you
told
a
Gavin to
Nando's?
go away.
I was just saying, you should have bought you a Nando's.
No Nando's for anybody.
That's what
Like,
he ate.
Gavin's just there harassing these poor people trying to play Mario Tennis.
Give me the QR codes.
I remember that game being pretty fun though. Like, I played Mario Power Tennis before, and I was really sad that they got rid of the specials. Like, you know, like Mario. I think who had a
Yeah,
big hammer? Was it Mario?
Yeah, Mario had the giant hammer.
Yeah, and they had loads of wacky stages as well. Whereas
Yeah.
Open was way more basic.
Yeah, that's the big issue with Open was that
Yeah.
it was a bit too standard, a bit too basic. Didn't have much going for it except for like lots of unlockables, but that was about it.
In
Better
fact,
than the Wii U
I'd
one.
say, oh, that's what I was going to say, Tom. Because I would say that the Ultra Smash, the Wii U, Mario Tennis was almost like Open but less.
Ultra
Yeah.
Smash is shite.
Yeah, it wasn't great for £60.
Wasn't the main gimmick of that you could be big?
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
and every time it happened, you have to watch that same few second cutscene every single time. It just really brought down the pace of the game.
So, the next, I would say this is a point by the way, when Nintendo just did a massive oversaturation of Mario, because the Wii U released this year as well, and you had like New Super Mario Bros. U. The next year you had New Super Mario 3D World, and on the 3DS you had New Super Mario Bros. 2, and later on that year Paper Mario Sticker Star. I don't know what you guys thought of New Super Mario Bros. 2, but I thought it was so unmemorable. Is that the word? So forgettable. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Super Mario Bros. With thousands and thousands of coins.
We had DLC as well.
Yeah, it also had DLC, pay DLC, new levels that you could get coins on. It's like the whole point of the game was just collect coins until you got to 1 million.
that's what for me it felt like they'd run out of ideas almost.
I mean, the game is fine, but was that really their idea of setting it apart? Was just hoard the coins? It's like getting a game over is impossible in that game unless you do it on purpose. Like if you get a game over without even trying, you should just quit gaming forever because you should be ashamed of yourself.
No, he's not wrong though. And then of course we come to Sticker Star.
Done.
So I remember actually before this game came out, I was me and Benjo, my friend we mentioned earlier for the Mario Kart 7. We would have quite heated arguments or debates over which game would be better, Paper Mario Sticker Star or Animal Crossing New Leaf. And I was like, Sticker Star's gonna blow it out the water.
Ooh.
And then I got the game, and I think I wanted to love it so bad that for the first 2 worlds I was like, it's great. And then I got to the 3rd world and was like, you know when that Wiggler splits up, and you have to find the pieces of his body.
God, that's where the game just fell apart, just like
Yeah.
a Wiggler.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh.
It's like Sticker Star is just a mess, really. It's like it was meant to be like more in line with the first 2 Paper Mario games, like a turn-based RPG with partners and action commands and all that. And then Shigeru Miyamoto came along and was like, "This is too much like Thousand Year Door. Change it."
And this is the thing, because when the game was first announced, the screenshots show partners like Chain Chomps and what have you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this was back in like 2010, like years before the game actually finally released.
Yeah, they must have had some mega reworks.
I can imagine you playing it, Ben, like looking like Hyde to Pain Harold or something.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
My biggest issue with Sticker Star is not that they had the drastic changes, but it's the fact that the changes just aren't well implemented. Like the sticker system, it gives you limited attacks. The battles themselves are completely pointless. You get nothing but coins just to buy more stickers. So you might as well just hold on to your stickers. Also, incredibly cryptic puzzles and boss fights.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have the right thing stickers and you try to use the wrong one, it's just gone. And you might have to try to find it all over again.
What was you going to say, Tom? Sorry?
Do you remember was it the blooper boss where you could freeze the game?
Blooper. Yeah, you were meant to use the sponge thing on that, but nothing in the game tells you this. You find the sponge in an earlier part of World 3, and that's your only clue that you're meant to use it against him.
It's kind of like that Sticker Star was the game that taught me what a guide game was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, because I remember going to the final boss, and I was like, the final boss of that game, you have to use specific thing stickers in certain order, and I was like, I would never have thought about using these.
And exactly, that's why I say the whole thing system is just way too cryptic. At least in Color Splash, the game gives you some hints. You have to go out your way for them, but at least they were there.
I will say,
this game just gives you nothing.
I was just going to say that at least the game is, it looks great. Like, it looks great on the 3DS.
This is where they really started making the most out of the paper aesthetic. Like, not just the characters, but the environments also, like, made of paper and cardboard and what have you.
Mm. So, I
thought
because I don't want. Sorry, Tom. Yeah, carry on.
Oh, I was gonna say was I thought the sticker museum was cool, where you had to collect every sticker and add it to the museum.
I hated that because it just taunted me that I needed 100% it.
Yeah, and also there's the fact that you didn't know where you could even get these stickers from. Like, some were found in very obtuse locations.
It's one of my favourites, personally, actually, on the 3DS.
Joe, you're bullshitting.
Yeah, I ain't never played it.
Quit gaming forever.
I've never played it in my life.
So moving on to 2013. This is a year that Joe is going to love.
A much better year.
This is when I think the 3DS, like, because 2012 was a bit of a sitter year, I think. Like I said, there was a lot of Mario games. It feels like they were made just to sort of keep the 3DS rolling. You obviously had Kid Icarus Uprising, which was the big game of that year, I think. 2013 comes around, and we'll start by saying that the 2DS got released. So this was a model without the 2D, and I think people caught on pretty quick that 3D was a fun novelty, but it wasn't something that people like bought the system for.
Yeah. Just 2 years after the 3DS release, and already they're ditching it.
Yeah, and games were actually, I think, I'm not too sure about this year, it might be the next year or 2015, but games started coming out then, which didn't even use the 3D, like...
Pokemon.
Yes, and actually, no, it was this year, because we'll get to that in a bit, because Pokemon released toward the end of the year, but one of the biggest games that released this year was Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yes.
We'll quickly touch on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, because I think that came out before it. I mean, I didn't play Luigi's Mansion, because I've never played Luigi's Mansion, but I think Gavin and Tom, you guys did, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I had the game before I even had the GameCube.
What did you guys think about Dark Moon in comparison to the first game?
Well, it went in a different direction. Like, it was more mission-based rather than exploration-based, which for a handheld game is definitely not a bad idea. But at the same time, it made the game feel a little less... So what's the term I'm looking for? A little less...
Coherent? Is that a word?
Yeah, coherent,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, like, it wasn't all joined together, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't joined together. Like, you'd reach, like, this certain room, and then EGAD calls, he said, okay, that's it for now, I'm going to bring you back, and then that's it, mission over. And then you start the next mission in that exact same room you ended the previous mission on. Like, it didn't flow very well, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the pacing was constantly interrupted, it might have felt like.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that you do have multiple mansions. It did help to give a bit more variety. Also, the multiplayer I remember really enjoying. Like, you had a co-op multiplayer where you had to search through...
Scarescraper.
Yeah, you had to search through randomly generated rooms, completing objectives like catching ghosts or, finding the keys. But at the same time, the multiplayer I remember being very buggy. Like, there were random glitches that would happen, like, you're meant to collect the red coins at the end of a floor, and sometimes all 4 coins wouldn't appear, or there'd be, like, more than 4 coins. Like, it was a bit buggy. But other than that, it was good fun.
Did you feel the same way, Tom?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. The main thing that made it a lot more disappointing was that all the bosses and all the ghosts lacked personality, whereas in the original game, you had a variety of portrait ghosts. You had different types of regular ghosts, but it was just all the same shit in Luigi's Mansion 2.
I heard that was a big complaint, yeah.
Yeah, well, at least Luigi's Mansion 3, it rectified that somewhat.
Certainly.
Like, it brought back the portrait ghosts, kind of. Like, you got, like, more traditional boss fights. And all that.
So, we'll move on to the next game. Like I said, this is probably one of the biggest releases, I'd say, for Nintendo ever. And that's because it essentially revived the series, and that's Fire Emblem Awakening. So, I
Yes.
had played Fire Emblem Sacred Stones from the Ambassador program, and that's how I got into the series. So I was so excited for Awakening because you could download a demo for it, I think about 2 weeks before the game came out, and you only had like 30 uses of it, and I had to keep re-downloading the demo because I played it that much. And I think I know Joe is massive on the game, but did you get it at launch, Joe? I think you got it a bit later, right?
I'll tell you how late I got into this game was I would have got it for Christmas, like 2013. I think it came out like mid 2013. So like I would have got it Christmas, and I think well, I'll tell you what happened, right? And I'll touch on this very briefly. So late 2013, I probably would have still been playing like Anarchy Reigns and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
that was like the prime year for that. So I had this 3DS game. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna play this. So I just didn't play it for ages. I got Black and White 2, I think, at one point. For some reason I got Black and White 2 and Fire Emblem Awakening. I have no idea why, but I played Black and White 2 for a bit, and I didn't get very far, and I think I got about like 6 gyms in. But yeah, so I put off Awakening for ages, and then I don't know why, I just picked it up randomly. I was like, I'll just give this a go. And then I was playing it for a bit, I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, this. And I think it was one of those games where like, when you look out the window and suddenly it's like, it's no longer nighttime, it's day from like the next morning. It's like 5 a.m. or something. And I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble here.
It's got me.
And so I probably would have played it around 2014 sort of thing. But yeah, I absolutely fell in love with it. I think it's probably one of my favorite games of all time. I think Sacred Stones I did really like, but Awakening, like the presentation in that game, and I still stand by this, is just incredible. Like the music is 10 out of 10. Like just the cutscenes and just how it looks. I know it looks a little dated now because like the models aren't too great because they're stuck on the 3DS, but
and they had no feet.
They had no feet, and people always knock the levels and stuff like they're quite basic, and I get that, but it doesn't matter. It's such a shiny package. You know what I mean? When everything else is so like 10 out of 10, like.
I remember, like, I played through the game. To be fair, like, that was the first Fire Emblem game that I ended up beating because with Sacred Stones, I'd always get to the last level, but the permadeath had already like wiped out quite a bit of my party, so I'd always end up getting there and having like dregs left. So I had no plan to take on the final boss.
Kick you in the nuts. That game was really hard.
Yeah, and I think it was good that because Awakening was intended to be the last game in the series, and that's why it was so monumental that. I mean, the game made Fire Emblem one of Nintendo's biggest series now. Like next to
like
Zelda and Mario.
Fire Emblem's only going on because of Awakening's success, because that was pretty much like their last ditch attempt. You could say it was like kind of like their Final Fantasy.
I don't think they've ever they've not quite got back to. I know Awakening is kind of a controversial game with Fire Emblem because a lot of people don't really like the new direction the series has gone in.
Yeah, you had the classic fans who I think they took issue with. Like you said, Joe, a bit more of the basic maps and the more anime aesthetic.
I feel like the later like Fire Emblem games like Fates and Free Houses, like their problems aren't the problems those games aren't really apparent in Awakening.
I'd agree.
You know what I mean? Like for Fates, it was this weird. The story was just fucking pants. Compared to Awakening, it's fucking amazing story in that game. And Free Houses it's a little ropey in that game as well. And I like Free Houses a lot, but I don't know, it doesn't quite scratch the same itch as Awakening. So I always feel like it's a weird complaint, like, oh, Awakening's caused all these problems, when usually it's not really. I can understand if like the anime aesthetic was really bad and like.
Oh no, it's not though.
Yeah, I actually prefer. I think the old Fire Emblem games. I don't think they look so great. I like the sprites. The sprites are gorgeous, but the artwork looks a bit like 90s.
No, that's kind of why I like it though, because I mean I like both, but I do really miss like the 90s, 80s kind of anime aesthetic. Like it's a bit more rugged and a bit more like hand drawn almost. Because like a lot of the newer anime aesthetic kind of games, they look really clean, like too clean. Like it doesn't have any like personal charm to them.
Awakening caused a problem of a lot of over designing, because Awakening has some kind of weird designs in it, like there's that fucking character who's the guy in the red armor he's like the second boss of the game, where like
Wallheart, I think.
And he I don't know, he just looks like completely out of place and like absurd.
Mm.
And then like all the other from that point on, found all the characters like, oh, he's got like 300 spikes in him, and like, you know what I mean? Like, there's that Sonic the Hedgehog looking guy in Fates. Like, fucking hate it.
He's not just edgy; he's pointy.
You wouldn't see a character like that in the original kind of Fire Emblem games.
I do like it because it sets characters apart, but the over designing, what have you. Because I will say, like in the earlier Fire Emblem games, they do kind of mesh together a bit because they're all kind of similar looking. Like they've got like the only things I can think of is like in Sacred Stones you've got Erica and I don't know how to pronounce his name, the brother, and they've got their blue hair. And then you've got like Marissa who's got pink hair, and it's just but they've got all the same armor on and stuff. They don't look too different.
That's true. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because we have to owe something to Awakening, because Awakening was the one that solidified my enjoyment of the series. It's the one that got you into it, Joe. It's the one who got our friend Espio into it, who probably still plays it to this day. And it got you into it, Gavin, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't get Awakening at launch day, but I got it like later after Smash 4 because Robin and Lucina were added to Smash Brothers, and I was like, okay, I'll try Fire Emblem then. And then Tom, he got it for me for Christmas, and I had no idea I would love it as much as I did.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly my favorite game on the 3DS.
It's very like underassuming, isn't it? You don't think it's gonna be as good as it is.
It's because strategy RPGs aren't really easy to get into usually.
And that's why I think this game was so successful, because it broke down that accessibility barrier. Like you don't. I was a bit annoyed at first that permadeath wasn't going to be mandatory, because that was like the thing that really sold me on Sacred Stones. But then I realized that you don't have to use that. You don't have to use the casual playthrough. So
yes, options, people. So why are they getting mad? People really got mad at that, even though it's an option.
And there's difficulty options too. So the only thing I'll say about Awakening that I do think was a bad move, and it's something they fixed in later games, is just some of the mechanics were very easy to abuse. I think I had Farja, and I paired her up with. I mean, it doesn't matter who you paired her up with, to be fair, but because pair up was so good. But I had her and this other unit pair up together. It was like one of the last levels where you was in a fortress, and it was like a long hallway, and I'd literally just had her NOS tank from the start all the way to the top. And what I mean by that, for anyone who doesn't know, is she has a spell where it's almost like a absorb, so she can heal herself when she attacks. Yeah, and I just stuck her with a load of Nosferatu tomes, and because when you're paired up with someone, it's harder for the characters to get hit, and sometimes they might counter attack and what have you if they're paired up with another character. So I just did that all the way through, and it made that level a joke. And I think you could do quite a lot of things in Awakening.
It's funny because like I played for that game on Lunatic, and I never beat it. I got quite close to the end, but like I'd say that game is harder at the beginning than it is later on, because you can just bust the characters so easily, like towards the end. Like what you're saying there is like, I mean that's broken, but then that's like the bottom level of like nonsense that you can do in that game. And then it turns into like, okay, you've killed this guy, you can move again, switch to this other guy, he can move again. You can do like 4 turns with one unit, and it's like, maybe this isn't okay.
But it was a super fun game though, and it made it so Fire Emblem games came out a lot quicker after that. Like I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years a piece of Fire Emblem game has come out since then.
Yeah.
We'll move on through 2013, and I'd say like probably the next biggest release was Animal Crossing New Leaf. That was like the next big Animal Crossing game. People weren't a massive fan of City Folk on the Wii because it was really similar to the DS game. New Leaf took everything up to another level, I think. Even though I didn't play it as much as the Wii one, and that's because I played the Wii one mainly for the online component, because that's how I met you guys, Tom and Gavin.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And with New Leaf, because we chatted on on our chat room.
IRC,
or I think even maybe MSN at the time. We didn't really have to go through Animal Crossing to communicate with each other anymore. So New Leaf for me was really fun, and I played it more of it than I thought I would. But it's kind of like every Animal Crossing game. Like you do what you can on it, and then you move on.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
What happened with your debate with Benjo about Sticker Star and Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing was clearly better. Let's be honest.
Did you admit it to him?
No, I never did. No. I will not lose. I mean, because I think Joe, you didn't play it, right? Because that New Horizons, first Animal Crossing.
No. I played Wild Worlds, the 3DS one, and New Horizons. Yeah, I'd played it before.
What did you think about New Leaf then, compared to the DS one? I suppose.
I thought it was really good. I remember playing it probably more than I remember playing it.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, like me and my friend Luke would visit each other's towns and mess around and stuff, and a few people played it at Street Pass, but like, I think I remember like I had that, and I had like Awakening, and then I also had like, I mean, the way I played the 3DS was if I was going to sit down and play a game, I'd play Awakening. If I was going to drop into a game, I'd play like Street Fighter, Blaze Law, whatever the hell.
That was cool.
So like, I don't know. I never really had the drive to play it too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but I still thought it was fun. I probably played the DS one a lot more. I'm not quite sure why. I think it was just because it was new.
Yeah, I think it had a lot more going for it because you had like the stuff on Main Street. You had like the Dream Suite. You were mayor now, so you could take control of a lot more things.
Public Works
And just
projects.
said it was optional. Yes. Sissy, fuck that guy.
Who?
Reset it.
Teddy.
Oh, Rossetti, yeah. Yeah, he got toned down for this one, right?
Yeah, because he scared the little kids.
Yeah.
And also the fact that, okay, look, I have a really big grudge against Rossetti because back in City Folk, he would come up because my game crashed. It's like, mate, it's not my fault. Don't ever go at me.
Was that when he got DC'd as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
that
annoying.
doesn't happen. That doesn't happen if you had a disconnect.
Okay, he's forgiven in that aspect.
It's just there was a bug that caused the game to soft lock when you're connecting online, and it happened to me twice. And each
wow.
time Rossetti came up and got mad at me. It's like, mate, it's not my fault.
How did you feel about New Leaf, Tom? Because I know you like your Animal Crossing.
I just remember it was good, obviously, because there's more to it. But the thing that when you played online, I remember you sent messages when you typed, and they'd last for like 20 seconds in City Folk. In the 3DS one, they lasted 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And it just didn't make online very enjoyable. No voice chat or anything like that either.
Also, it took forever to get to another player's town.
I mean, that's still the case in New Horizons, really.
I don't know why. Why? Just why? Why is it so slow like that?
Welcome to the
But
airline.
then again, New Horizons did a lot of things right and wrong. Like,
I was going to say, because I think overall I prefer New Leaf over New
like-
Horizons.
who thought Breakable Tools was a good idea? I legit want to slap whoever thought that.
Yeah, I agree. You know what's the annoying part about that stuff is that you always see these articles that are like, Animal Crossing is about teaching you patience. You know, it's meant to make you appreciate it. It's like, oh, fuck off! Like, it takes like 30 minutes to get to someone's town. I'm not learning patience. I'm just annoyed. Like,
I'd say, to be fair though, like in games like New Leaf, I remember because I really wanted to have like an orange tree forest and then a pear tree forest over here. I'm pretty sure in that game you still had to like bury the seed, make sure you got it in the right spot, otherwise you just have to tear it out and put in a new one, and then you had to wait like 3 days for the tree to grow. It was a slow game that, but I feel like there was more stuff to do in the time that you had to wait for it.
yeah.
And one of the biggest things for me is you had swimming and diving, which I know has come back to New Horizons now, but it wasn't in at launch when I still played. The biggest one for me was collecting Nintendo furniture. That was like a massive.
Yeah, they got rid of that in New Horizons. They got rid of a lot of things in New Horizons. Like they add
Next
some,
year.
take some.
Yeah, this is it. Well,
Yeah, we'll release a game when it's not even finished.
That's my issue with New Horizons. Is it seemed to take a lot of stuff out of the series, like New Leaf added, and then put it back in at a later date. Under like the guise of it being DLC to bring you back and play.
But it's to make it more fresh, make it last longer.
Yawn, sigh.
I don't know if it's worked. I don't know if that strategy's worked because everyone's.
I think
Like-
it's subjective, honestly.
I played a ton of New Horizons. And I know we're getting off 3DS here, but like, I've got a ton of hours played in that game, and like a new update comes out, and it's like, oh, now you can wear a pumpkin on your head. Oh, and it's like I have no drive to like go back on the. I mean, like, oh, cool, I've got a pumpkin head. Guess I'll turn it off again. You know what I mean? Like,
Please,
Yeah.
let me take a break. Stop making me grind for Nook Miles. Please, let me do something else.
yeah,
I'm trying to wait now until like the final update comes out. I don't want to play a game when it feels like I don't have everything there already.
yeah.
I mean that's my big thing on most games, to be honest. But we'll quickly move through the rest. But For 2013, you also had Mario and Luigi Dream Team, which was the first Mario and Luigi game on the 3DS. I think we
First
can
of
all,
many.
I think it was a good game, but I think we can all agree, or those of you who played it agree, that it was nowhere close to Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah,
the last one on the DS.
Yeah, too many tutorials, a lot of padding, especially with the Ultimate quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like that game went on forever.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it has the best soundtrack of the Mario and Luigi series.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack was
It's
absolutely
like
great.
Yoko Shimomura is a freaking music goddess.
I thought the game looked great too. Like I know people.
Oh
say
yeah,
that they
I
were less
personally love the
expressive.
art style.
Yeah, I do too. I know people say it looks less expressive than the more sprite-based ones from the DS and Game Boy Advance, but I still thought the game looked great.
I mean, it's still full of energy. Like there's like thousands and thousands of different frames for just each character alone.
Yeah.
Like that's how expressive it is.
And next we'll I will say 2013 was like probably the biggest year for the 3DS, possibly. Like 2013 or 14. All these massive games are coming out because we have Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing, and next we have the first Pokemon games on the system. And I think Pokemon X was the last Pokemon game that I got so excited for that I like.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the point where I thought Pokemon started to go downhill a bit, but at the same time, I really liked Pokemon X. I thought it was really good.
I mean, to be fair to Pokemon X and Y, like it was a big leap forward because we're going from 2D to proper 3D.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they did so good with Gen 5. It just felt like essentially this was a big step back. Like the story was bad, the characters were
Oh, the
bad.
story was awful.
The region had its moments, but overall wasn't anything too interesting.
Yeah.
Mega
It was a
Evolution.
beautiful. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful region. Sorry.
Yes,
Like,
especially
very
without the 3D. There was no 3D on the overworld.
Yeah, this is true because this is like you can 2 years into the system's lifespan, they're already like at the limit of what they can do with it. Like I know Sun and Moon took it to the next level, but
we'll
you can't use 3D, and I think double battles and triple battle. No, they didn't even have triple battles, right?
Triple battles were in X and Y actually.
Okay. But the frame rate was awful.
Yeah, like you get into a 1v1 battle, and you can have the 3D on, but sometimes the game would start dropping frames, and that's when I realized maybe 3D isn't that good after all. And then I barely used it since.
I will say though, I do like the way that X and Y and the Hoenn remakes look. I like the way they look better than the Gen 7 games. I like the characters a bit more chibi, and I think it suits the Pokemon style a bit better. So next up we had A Link Between Worlds. That was the last game for the year.
A Link Between Worlds was phenomenal.
Fantastic.
It was fucking great. That's probably my favourite.
I mean, especially after Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
It's like Skyward Sword, still holding my hand to this day. My hand really needs washing right now. Could you let go, please? And then A Link Between Worlds is like, okay, we're going to just open the game to you. You can do anything you want, whenever you want.
Yeah.
You can buy these items whenever you want to. Oh,
it was also kind of a precursor to Breath of the Wild too, because it was so open.
It was just a breath of fresh air as well.
Yeah.
So moving on to 2014, we're starting to get to the point where the 3DS started losing steam. But this was the last big year for the system, I think, and part of that is because it was kind of revigorated with the release of the new 3DS and new 3DS XL. Did any of you guys get one of those?
Yes.
I got the Xenoblade new 3DS.
Oh.
Yeah, the face covers that you could change.
I got one eventually. I think when it was a bit cheaper.
Yeah, it was a good idea, but I don't think it took off as well as it should have.
Well, at the start, it was kind of like a DSi problem, where when the DSi came out, they said they were going to make games specifically for the DSi.
But it was all just download games, wasn't it?
Like Hell's Kitchen.
Mostly, anyway. I mean, there were some physical games that were DSi only, like Face Training, but that's about it.
But for the new 3DS, though, I think the only one I can think of is Hyrule Warriors and Xenoblade.
Yeah, there was Xenoblade, there was Fire Emblem Warriors, there was Minecraft. Yeah, Minecraft was new 3DS only, and that's about it.
SNES games.
Yeah, Super Nintendo games.
Did you get the Xenoblade port for the 3DS, Joe?
Yeah, it was alright.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember you playing it for a bit.
Yeah.
I remember being like, I would not want to play this game on a handheld because I think it doesn't do it justice. At the same time, I was
I did not get stuck, Tom. I tried to sneak that in there. I just got bored to play it. I didn't get stuck.
Where do you get stuck, Tom?
Yeah, where did I get stuck?
Bionic leg.
Bionic
In
leg.
the fucking beginning. That's like
That's when the game really gets good, Tom.
The title
Come
screen.
on.
so, yeah, it said press A to continue. I was like, oh fucking hell, this is complicated, isn't it?
That's the
Yeah.
first one.
Oh, too much effort. I'm gonna go back to brain training.
We also started to see some more misses as well this year because we had games like
yeah.
Yoshi's New Island.
That's definitely something I want to point out about the 3DS. Even though the 3DS still had a lot of great games, it also had quite a few disappointing games, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was a
Like
few
Yoshi's
misses.
New Island, like Sticker Star pretty much started it all off. And then Yoshi's New Island came along, and it's like, okay, well, this is Yoshi's Island, all right. But at the same time, it was still a disappointment. And why? The story.
And the music.
Oh, the Kazoos. What happened? What was the smoking? It's like, New Island, I can't stand New Island because of what it did to the continuity.
Did it change the continuity?
Okay, so, you remember the first Yoshi's Island game?
Ooh,
You
Yoshi
have that
Lore.
really nice, heartwarming, feel-good ending where the baby Mario and Luigi are reunited with their parents. Yoshi's New Island retcons that immediately. It just comes up with the excuse that, oh, the stock delivered them to the wrong house. And that's the only reason the game happens, is because the stock went to the wrong bloody house! Childhood ruined!
Why didn't they just make a new story? Like, it's not like no one's gonna question it. You know what I mean? They don't need to follow
Especially
it
the
on.
New Island, the next
Yeah.
part, yeah.
It's like no one goes like, hang on, Mary's already saved the princess. What's
Even
happening?
an island! It was just a giant egg-shaped landmass in the sky. That's not an island.
Was it quite a boring game as well? Like it didn't seem to have the
It was
the charm
just
of the
very
originals.
generic. Like, at least Yoshi's Island DS tried new mechanics. This game just didn't do much except for ginormous eggs that you can throw around, and that's about it.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it
kind of
was
reminds me
very
of Ultra Smash.
bare-bones.
Just make it bigger, not better.
Yeah.
But
sorry
I'll tell
to
you
be,
what. wasn't-
Sorry to be a pain. I'm just gonna go loo quick. So I'm busting.
Yeah, no, always go for it, mate. I will say we'll carry on because I think I don't think Joe's played many of these next games, but the next one that actually was a really good 2D platformer was Kirby Triple Deluxe. Did any of you guys play that?
Yeah, I played it. I didn't get it
I
right
haven't.
away. No, I got it when it became a Nintendo Select title, but I
Oh.
liked it.
This one and Planet Robobot, I think.
Planet
are two of the best
Robobot
Kirby games.
is honestly one of the best Kirby games ever made.
Yeah, definitely. I think I really enjoyed Triple Deluxe. And I think Planet Robot is better, but Triple Deluxe is definitely a really good game. If you
yeah.
like Gavin did, if you can get it for cheap with the selects range, go for it. It's a really good game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So then we got to the Pokemon release for that year. Now, I think did you get Pokemon Art Academy, Gavin?
I did.
What did you think of it? Because I think you had the normal Art Academy, right?
Yeah. It's exactly what you think it is. It teaches you how to draw a Pokemon, and it actually walks you through it step by step. It's actually really easy to understand.
That's
Whether
pretty cool.
you're into art or not, like if you've drawn before, if you want to get into drawing, then it is good for you.
Did you make the most out of it then? Because I know you already were quite a bit of an artist.
Unfortunately, no. It was a bit too basic. Plus, the resolution just wasn't for me. Yeah.
That's a shame.
I mean, I'd rather have a drawing tablet and a computer monitor in front of me nowadays.
Yeah, I suppose that's sort of when you're transitioning.
It's fine for what it is, assuming you don't mind the giant, stupid watermark that's in the corner every time.
They want to know where it came from.
Pokemon Art Academy just forces a watermark onto everything you draw and save and export. It's annoying.
So we did have another Pokemon release that year, and that was Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. That was the remakes of the Hoenn games.
Or rares, yep. Trumpets intensify, and then you realize it's less trumpets.
I actually cried when I played the demo of this game because the Ruby and Sapphire were my first Pokemon games, so I am so attached to them nostalgically.
Yeah, Gen 3 is just very nostalgic for a lot of people because for a lot of people it was their first game. I mean, me, of course, being the old man, I started on Gen 1.
This is a weird thing, right? Because I was into Pokemon before Ruby and Sapphire, because I was still born when the first two games came out, and I remember seeing people play them on the playground. But I never actually thought to ask for one for myself until I got a Game Boy Advance for my birthday in 2003. It was just after the Ruby and Sapphire came out. and we went to town that weekend, and I ended up picking up Pokemon Ruby and Sonic Advance. And Pokemon Ruby never left my Game Boy until like the other Pokemon games came out. Then it was so good. And with these remakes coming out, when I heard the music, and to be honest, I still love the soundtrack of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Despite that, I don't know about you guys, but I can overlook a lot of what Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire did or took away because I love the original game so much. But they did take a lot away, especially if you compare it to the Gen 2 remakes, which added so much.
Yeah.
Battlefront here.
Wait, are you talking about the Pokemon remakes?
Yeah. Ruby, the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah, let me tell you about these fucking games, right?
Oh, fucking hell, here we go.
Fucking Pokemon Sapphire remake. Pokemon Sapphire is my favorite Pokemon game of all time. It's the best. So I boot it up, and I'm like, this is alright, isn't it? And I go, you know what I'm in the mood for playing Pokemon Sapphire? I'm going to go catch my favourite Pokemon of this generation, a little fella called Aaron. So I strolled in the little cave, and I'm like, can anyone find an Aaron? And I was like, oh, well, he's a rare Pokemon, he'll come up eventually. So I'm running back and forth. And I'm like,
get
really
yourself a goddamn Aggron.
I couldn't find him. And I was like, what's going on here? This is strange. Is my game broken? So I go on the internet and I look up and I'm like, what's happening here? He's not in that cave anymore. They removed it. You had to go catch him somewhere else. No, I just literally unplugged it, put it in the case, and I think I went to Kex there and then I sold it.
How did you tell me that story?
There's no point. There's no point playing it if they're changing things like that.
They did change quite a few things, and that is one of them. Because I don't know if they moved where you get him, but they changed like the amount of that cave you can explore.
Yeah, they changed that cave quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like you couldn't explore the whole thing anymore. You couldn't explore like the level that Aaron was on.
Yeah, terrible.
Apart from that, I did genuinely enjoy the games, and I think they're the best looking 3DS games, best looking Pokemon 3DS games.
I definitely enjoyed them more in X and Y. I can say that.
It would look a hell of a lot better if I had an Aaron on my team when I was supposed to get one.
An Aaron.
Plus, there's the fact that
Am I pronouncing that wrong? I swear he's Aaron. I've always called it Aaron.
I think it's Aaron, but like
Aaron, if you're American.
Aaron.
I was like, I'm an Aaron man.
Yeah, Aaron's the name too.
I didn't like how they gave you the legendary like in the story.
Oh yeah, Latias.
Yeah, that made the game a cakewalk. I mean, I didn't use them, but yeah, it was kind of that was very.
What did they just give you them?
Yeah,
like halfway through the story.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't get to that.
Mine.
It turns out they're actually important because you can go soaring with them.
You could also catch all the legendaries in that game. Like, up to that point,
because of the portals.
Yeah, I do remember being blown away by the fact that you could actually fly now. Like you could get on the Pokemon and fly to
proper flying.
Yeah,
that was cool.
And they took that out for the other games, right? Like they didn't.
Yeah,
really taking out features from later Pokemon games. Never heard that one before.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I should get used to that. I do remember thinking before Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out. I was thinking because X and Y felt a lot smaller, like, and it felt like because they couldn't have a game that large on the 3DS. So I was thinking, Hoenn's the biggest region. How are they going to put that on the 3DS? And they did. They did do it justice, I think.
Just
Water
use
and
less
all.
polygons.
Yeah.
7.8 out of 10.
So that is pretty much the end of 2014. We did have
Smash.
one last game. I was going to say that we have Smash for 3DS. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the only reason I got this one is because if the Wii U came out on the same day, I just wouldn't have bothered with the 3DS one.
Yeah.
But this came out 2 months before the Wii U one.
The hype was just too much, you know. You had to get Smash 3DS if you were really into it.
Yeah. And we all did, right? We all got it day one.
I know a lot of people wanted like a portable Smash, and they absolutely delivered.
I took the day of college to play it.
Really?
Yeah. I just didn't. I had a perfect attendance at college, apart from that day. I just didn't turn up.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
well done, Joe. You blew it.
I was like, well, to be fair, I had a good reason because my first year, I had 100% attendance. They're like, oh, you get a certificate. I was like, oh, cool. And they gave it to me, and they spelled my name wrong. They put they put J-O. Not only did they spell my first name wrong, they put J-O, but they only put one L in PAL. And I was like, all right, whatever.
Well then.
Wow.
If you're not going to make the effort, why should I?
I made sure I'd done all my work beforehand, so it wasn't too bad. And
Yeah.
I was a right little nerd in my last year, so I was like, I think I phoned my lecturer. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be in today, I'm really sick. And he was like, "You're just going to play Smash, aren't you?" I was like, "No,
Yeah.
no." I think I was in town buying it. So when I was ringing him.
It was funny because like this was around the time. I think this was when I finished my first proper job at a theme park.
Pleasure Island, Pleasure Land.
Yeah, Pleasure Island. Yeah.
Pleasure.
And fun for all the family. And I remember because Smash was coming out late that year, I was like, right, I'm not earning any money at the moment, but I need to make sure I have enough money for Smash, like both games. And I remember the Smash. Do you remember the Smash demo, the 3DS demo?
Yeah.
And it got sent to random people, and then you would get 4 codes along with it, so you could play with your friends, or send them to your friends. Sorry, so they could do it as well. And I think didn't 2 of us get codes? Like we got like 8 codes altogether.
Yeah,
I remember
I got one. I got somebody.
I remember I got the email, so I was able to give it to, I think it was you guys, and then SBO got one by himself, I think.
I thought it was you who got them because we. Oh no, I'll tell you what it was. It was, I think you got them, Ben, and so you had yourself to use a code, and probably maybe Tom and someone else. So and I don't think we were that great mates at the time, but so I was like, oh man, Ben's like, I'm not on the top of his list to get a thing. Another friend of mine at college got one. I think maybe it might have been Tim. It was either Tim or someone else, but no, it wasn't Tim because me and him. I was trying to get him a code. So not only did I not know you that well, but I was trying to not only convince you to give me a code, but also I'm pretty sure it was something like that. But I think
I think I did give you one because at the time SBO didn't have a 3DS, right? Like he only got one once the game came out.
Yeah, he got a 3DS just for Smash 3DS because the hype was too good.
I think what happened there was I think I had it done it first, and I think Tim must have got it from someone at college or something. Because then, like, I remember we all ended up with it, didn't we? Like everyone.
Yeah, we all got the code. Like it wasn't that rare. Like I think enough people got it to give it to all the friends.
Like, we're gonna only give it to certain people. What the fuck?
Yeah, it was kind of weird that.
Oh boy, lottery.
What did we think about it, by the way? Because I remember, like, that was actually when I started to get into the competitive side of it a bit more. Because I know we played with items for a bit, and then Joe, me and you would play a lot. And he was like, let's play without the items. And obviously, that's where my competitive streak started for the game. But even as a casual game, I thought it was great. And Smash Run, although I didn't play a lot of it, I mean, we can all say it was the better mode than what you got.
Yeah, Smash.
Yeah.
Smash.
I remember making a lot of custom characters. I feel like it's really that's pretty much my main memory of the 3DS game is like
McLeod.
Messing. No, not me. I mean, me's and stuff, but like just like changing up the custom moves, the characters and stuff. I thought that was a really cool feature. Like it was really broken and stuff, but it was just fun. So I remember being like, I'm gonna have a fast Robin that's got like the speedy 4, and then like a slower one that's more powerful, all that kind of stuff.
The custom stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, carry on, Joe. Sorry.
I was just saying, I remember me and Diddy Bound, I remember like played a bunch of games with like these stupid custom characters we made, like Donkey Kong that could jump really high and all this like dumb stuff. Just having a lot of fun.
At the time, it was actually pretty funny because it was a novelty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I also remember like the 3DS was when you could do that really weird thing with Wario.
Oh yeah, Wing, I think they called it.
Yeah, it was so fun.
Oh, that's when they changed DI to be weird. There's all sorts of weird stuff in 3DS.
The early version of Smash on the 3DS was mental. It's so different from how it ended up.
Broke everyone's circle pads. Remember that?
Tom broke his circle pad on it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
right?
I broke my circle pad on my original.
Yeah, I didn't break it, but it had a tear in it.
Yeah, they break easily. Like they get all oily, and it makes them very fragile, and then they just break onto your foot.
I remember getting the new 3DS partly because of Smash, because you'd be able to use the other little nub on it for the Smash attacks. I barely used it though because that nub was so strange.
That nub is awful.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel very responsive.
I remember the day the Wii U version came out, like that was history for the 3DS version.
Yeah. Nice doing your Smash Run onto the shelf with you.
I actually still got I've still got download codes for Lucas and one of the other DLC characters, and I still haven't put them on the game because I didn't play it afterwards.
They might.
Oh my god!
I'm not sure about that though.
Sell them.
I forgot
Yeah.
Lucas wasn't at the game at the start.
What's that?
I just forgot Lucas wasn't in the game at the beginning. I forgot he was
No. But for some reason, I end up back. Like, even though I didn't play the 3DS version at all after that, I still always bought the characters for both systems. Until like I think Bayonetta and Corrin came out, then I just bought it for the Wii U. I was like, I'm not going to play the 3DS one again, so I still have it for like collection's sake, but I don't think I'll touch it again.
Oh.
So once we move over to 2015, this is when the 3DS I think started losing a bit of its steam. Not just because the 2014, 2015 was like probably the Wii U's best time, but also because Nintendo just started making very strange decisions with what games they released. But we did, fortunately, before all this kicked off, we ended up getting a remake of Majora's Mask.
Oh, it was so good.
I thought it was amazing. It was the version of the game that made me love the game, because I was never a fan of the N64 one.
Yeah, unfortunately, Majora's Mask 3D is a bit more divisive than Ocarina of Time 3D.
Yeah, they changed a few things.
Like, they made it more user-friendly, I guess you could say.
They did. I love the Bomber's Notebook in Majora's Mask 3D.
I mean, I honestly think the 3DS remake is a really good remake, but I can definitely understand why some people wouldn't like it.
Do
But at the
you
same
like it,
time,
Gavin?
The first game is very hard to get into. I do own it, yeah. It's like the original game is very hard to get into.
Yeah, it is. I played it not long after Ocarina of Time as well, so I was like, really... at the time, I really didn't like time limits in games, like just overall. I hated feeling like I was being rushed, no matter how much time you had. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like the first Pikmin either, even though, you have all the time in the world, really.
Yeah.
So when I played Majora's Mask 3D, and I really liked it, I actually ended up going back and playing Pikmin, and I love that game now as well, so... It just tastes change over time.
Yeah.
I'm just glad Majora's Mask 3D has more conventional saving, because I hated the saves in the original.
I did too.
Because here's the thing, I played the GameCube version of Majora's Mask originally. That version is terrible because it's laggy and it's prone to crashing.
I was going to say that game's really buggy, right?
Yeah, the GameCube Majora's Mask is very buggy. Like, there's also like graphical issues because the emulation's wonky. You got sound issues. You got lag, and of course you got the random crashing that just happens when it wants to. With a game that only has suspend play, that only has quick saving, not very nice.
No, I wasn't a fan of the quick saving at all. I will say the only thing that I was disappointed with in the 3D remake was the fact that they changed the Zora swimming.
Oh, they
yeah.
the Zora's mask.
Bad.
Yeah, they like you could only do the original Zora swimming when you use the magic shield.
He just paddles normally. You have to use magic to actually swim like you usually could.
Yeah, that's.
They also nerfed Deku Link because his water hopping is like a lot slower.
Yeah, it is.
That actually makes jumping between the lily pads a lot harder in the swamp when
I
it
don't know why
really
they did that.
didn't need to be that way. It's just jank, mate.
It's a very strange. Like that's one of those decisions that like I don't understand why they changed things like that, because it's not an improvement. It's a very weird change. And some of the, like I said, some of the weirder decisions that Nintendo was making was releasing games like really strange spin-offs, like Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. When people, I think this was around the time people were like really excited for a Wii U Animal Crossing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then you had games like Chibi Robo Ziplash as well, which which Gavin's had the pleasure of playing recently.
Chibi Robo Ziplash is quite possibly one of the worst games Nintendo has ever made. I cannot stand it. It's actually like, it's not because they made Chibi Robo a platform. It's just the game is just straight up poorly designed in many aspects.
Yeah.
Like, it moves really slowly. It's incredibly repetitive. There's really stupid design choices. Like you can't just choose where you want to go on the world map. You have to spin a roulette wheel, and you have no choice but to go there, which means you could potentially replay levels.
So strange.
And also,
you can use Amiibo, can't you?
Oh, the Chibi Robo Amiibo unlocks a lot of stuff, like the capsule machine. Like, you can unlock figures of, like, it's just mostly Chibi Robo in different poses. It's a cute idea, but you have to scan the Amiibo every time you want to use it.
It just sounds really cumbersome, like really.
And also, the final boss. If you want to fight the final boss, you have to pay to beat the final boss, basically, because you need to build a giant robot. So if you were rushing through the game, you pretty much come to a complete stop and can't go any further until you grind up money to battle the final boss. Like,
did you beat the game, Gavin?
I did. I even 100% it, and it was miserable. Like,
Why?
the game is just an absolute miserable experience.
Why did you put yourself through such a horrific...
Because I have Stockholm syndrome, I think.
And plus, like, when Gavin's saying this, like, because I'm pretty sure I was the one who told you that the game was like a quid at Argos.
Yes.
So we got the game for practically nothing, and it's still that bad.
Yeah, I still feel like I wasted my money on.
I was gonna say, like, you still feel robbed.
Absolutely.
Imagine
and to
paying
think that the
30 quid
future
for that
of the
shit.
series was, depending on this game. Like, if this game sold well, Chibi Robo would continue. Guess what happened? It didn't sell well. Critics hate it. People hate it. So now Chibi Robo is pretty much dead.
I say it didn't even look like a Chibi Robo game, especially compared to the other ones.
Like, it's so generic.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that didn't stop with Chibi Robo either, because that will segue nicely into Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, which I thought was insanely generic. It was a fun game. Like, it was kind of like it was not as good as Dream Team. It was a fun game, but I can't see myself going back to that. That'll be a hard one to go back to, I think. Even though the music was still great.
I mean, the crossover aspect I thought was fine, but it was a very safe game. At least Dream Team, tried to mix things up a little bit.
It just went through like all the generic Mario worlds, and you had to find a shit ton of Toads. It was almost like they were taking the piss because of how much people complained about generic Toads and what have you. And then they made this game and just like made generic Toads the forefront. I'm not a fan of Paper Jam that much. It was Mario & Luigi. It was still Mario & Luigi, so it was still fun. But it
was just too safe.
A bit lesser.
7.8 out of 10 too many times.
I remember recently someone was talking about the new Paper Mario game on Switch.
Origami King.
And I was like, I heard Ben said it's not that great. And they're like, what did he say about it? I was like, I don't know really. I just know that like every now and again a Paper Mario game comes out and just makes Ben angry. It's been very insightful today, learning where it all went wrong.
Hashtag not my Paper Mario.
I do remember like when Paper Jam got reviewed, because I watched I can't remember whose review it was, but I watched it and they said this is a Mario & Luigi game first and foremost, and I sort of knew that, but just hearing it made me go no, because I really wanted this to be like the new Paper Mario that I was so looking forward to, like with Sticker Star. I was burnt so heavily by Sticker Star that every Paper Mario game that comes out now, I'm like, if it's not exactly what I want it to be, I'm instantly like, no, I can't go through that again. It's like very traumatic for me. So moving on to 2016, this is I'd say that the twilight years of the 3DS, because this is definitely when it was starting to wind down. There weren't as many releases now. We did get a really good Kirby game in Planet Robobot that we were talking about earlier. We also got Fire Emblem Fates. What a fucking strange release! Like, what a strange game.
It's like it was experimental, really, because you had it was like a choose your own adventure kind of game, but
it was,
instead of being in one package, it was two separate games.
Well, here's the thing, right? Because you could get it on one game card, and this is what annoyed me about it, because they purposely made each game separate when they proved they could get all of it on the game card plus Revelations, which was the third story.
Yeah.
And they had it in a special edition, and obviously that went out very quickly. I really didn't like the way they released Fates, but as a game, I thought Fates was pretty fun. In fact, I think it made a lot of improvements over Awakening. Unfortunately, like we were saying earlier, the story was fucking dreadful.
And Corrin sucks.
Yeah, Corrin was an awful character. This is where a lot of the over designs went. What was at the forefront? You had characters that I personally don't mind, but it's almost like the Xenoblade 2 effect. It's like why I couldn't recommend that game to like anyone, because a lot of the character designs are a bit like eyebrow raising. You've got ones like Camilla and that girl in the kimono, Kaguya.
That's why Fire Emblem sells a lot now.
Well, this is the thing, man, because in Awakening, I think one of the big selling points of that game as well was that you could choose a partner, and then you'd have a kid who would come from the future, and that was part of the game's plot. In Fates, they did that again, but it made no lick of sense as to why you meet your kid. And that was kind of strange. But I do think it made improvements in the pair-up system. It fixed that Awakening's issue of that. A lot more of the maps were great. In terms of conquest, I would say in the Birthright one, the one that was supposed to be a bit easier, I thought that one was it was still fun, but it was a bit more brain dead. And unfortunately, though, this is like where I stopped with Fire Emblem, because I got to the end of Conquest, and there's a level I can't get past. and because I can't get past it, I've like not gone back to it, and I just haven't bought any Fire Emblem games after it, apart from Echoes, which I got for like super cheap. But I think did any of you guys play Fates?
I got it.
I did for like a few hours and then I just dropped it. It didn't hold my attention, honestly.
Did it?
Yeah.
I might give it a second chance, but so far it's like it's just kind of there.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. You can always go back to it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only 4 hours in. I could just start a new game and not lose much progress.
Yeah. What was you saying, Joe? Sorry.
Just like, I mean, if I got it, I'd have to get the whole fucking package again. I don't even understand. I still don't understand how to buy that game. I don't know if I'm supposed to just get one or both. Then there's a third one. I don't know what's going on. It scares me. It intimidates me. I don't want to mess around with it.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they have like a shit ton of extra DLC and maps.
Yeah, it is very overwhelming too.
Yeah, because I know that Awakening had quite a few DLC maps, but I didn't mind too much from Awakening. But with Fates, they went overboard. Like they had so many. Like you already split the game into 3, and now you're doing DLC for each one. I think that was too much.
I do think like with me in single player games in general, like it's kind of hard for me to get really hooked into one. So like the fact that Fates, I think I played Conquest first, and I'm not sure what it was, but I was just playing it. I was like, the characters didn't interest me. There was a lot of them, and they all seemed like really like Awakening has a bit of this as well, but it felt a lot like my name is fucking Henry, and I'm the weird one. My name's Jim, and I'm a strong. You know what I mean?
They're one-dimensional.
And then there was one bit where like you're at the beginning, and there's a bloke on a horse, and he's on the roof. And I was like, why is he? What's this about? Why is he a horse on the roof? So I was just, when I'm asking questions like that, I kind of step away from the game a bit, and I don't want to stack it too much because like I know gameplay wise, it's just even a little bit I played, it's just straight up better than Awakening. There's just no ways around it kind of thing. But like, I guess it's
like everything else.
Yeah, it's depending on what you're after in a game, really. If you want if you like nice presentation and stuff like that, go for Awakening. But if you're into more like just a harder game, a more challenging game, and a more nuanced game, go for Fates.
Yeah.
But
or even Echoes, which is the game that came out the year later. I didn't actually play that one. I know you did, Tom, but we'll get to that in a minute. We'll talk about Pokemon Sun and Moon very quickly. What do we think about that?
Definitely an improvement over X and Y, in my opinion. I actually really like Sun and Moon, personally. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I actually enjoyed it.
I like Sun and Moon as well.
Like they actually told a pretty good story. We have good characters again. The new Pokemon, they absolutely nailed the new Pokemon designs this generation.
Mimikyu.
Yes, Mimikyu. Like
you have a
lot of tropical Pokemon since it's based on Hawaii and whatnot.
Yeah.
There were a lot of great new designs in Gen 7.
I think the characters were nice.
It was also the game that pushed the 3DS to its limit, I think.
A bit too much. Like even on the new 3DS, it chugged.
Yeah.
Like that's the main reason they got rid of triple battles. Like they got rid of triple battles because the 3DS just couldn't handle it anymore.
I thought Sun and Moon were pretty good. I think they're better than Sword and Shield, but I don't like them more than X and Y.
Are better than Sword and Shield.
So there was also a interesting release this year as well, and that was Mario Maker 3DS. This is where I think Nintendo were really like, shit.
They dropped the ball. They really because
we need to salvage some of the Wii U's
you can't even save your level creations online with other people. You can only do it locally or with Street Pass.
Yeah, they butchered
it. There is one good thing about Mario Maker on the 3DS. It has 100 pre-made levels built in.
I think that was part of the draw of it, because if you can't share levels...
If you can't share levels, just play them.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. It was more like... It felt more of like a Mario Maker Lite, I would say.
Yeah, I keep forgetting the game exists.
Yeah. That was definitely where I felt Nintendo was like, yeah, we're giving up with the Wii U. Just give us some time.
I mean, 2016 was just a bad year for the Wii U as well. That's when they realized, let's just abandon ship before it's too late.
And to cap off a terrible year, Federation Force.
Oh, Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Okay, I have the game. I got it for very cheap. I haven't played it yet, but from what I've heard, it's actually a pretty decent multiplayer co-op game. But I
have a story about this game.
Go for it.
Okay. Go on.
So at Street Pass, they had Street Pass. If you don't know, are these little Nintendo meetups around the country. I think they're just called like Nintendo City, where it's like Nintendo Manchester, Nintendo this. But the little meetups, you go there and play games and stuff. And they had they're like, we're doing a Federation Force like game because it was the football one. You know, the one it was like.
Oh yeah, the Blast Ball.
Yeah, it was the Blast Ball mini game that they
like
showed up at E3.
download, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, we're going to play this. And this guy there was like, yeah, I'm sick of this game. I'm like, you know, I love this game. It's my favorite. I'm like, what? This game? And they're like, we need to go into teams. And then there was two other people there. One of them hadn't played it before. And one of them was like, it's the guy with the top hat. Do you know the I'm on about? Nintendo guy with the top hat.
Yes.
James.
Yeah, it was him.
I
And he's like, oh yeah, I played this before. I'm pretty good at it. I was like, all right. And then so like, we're playing this game. He was doing all the carrying. And I was trying to like get this ball in the goal or whatever. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. And I was like, but this is basically an FPS at this point. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's just like shooting at people. So, like, and so I targeted the guy in the other team who thought he was good, and just like I was like, if I just take him out the equation, we will just win because no one else knows what they're doing. And yeah, we won. I think we got like some crap prize or something. But,
That was definitely a Street Pass event, wasn't it?
yeah, and he got really annoyed at me because he was like, "You just kept killing me." I was like, "Oh well, you know."
I'm pretty sure Blast Ball was the way that they announced the game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because that was the worst bit as well. Is like you were playing this little mini game like on the, and it was like, okay, this is. I mean, it could be a little fun eShop game, and then all of a sudden it's like, this is a new Metroid. I was like, what the fuck? But no, I've actually played the game with my friend Rob, and we it was actually pretty fun. It was a decent multiplayer game. It would have been way better on a console. I don't know why they put it on the 3DS, to be honest, but it was pretty fun. It's just a shame it came out like a year before Samus Returns, which is the one everyone wanted.
Yeah, that's why everybody went absolutely mad when Federation Force got announced.
Yeah.
And then that Metroid 2 fan remake got shut down, and everyone got mad even more.
Yeah.
But it turns out that was for a very good reason.
Yeah.
So after 2016, we go into 2017, and this was the year that the Switch was released.
Yeah, this is when things really started to slow down for the.
Yes, definitely. I think beforehand they were like sort of on the transition period. Here, it was just straight up like, bam, Switch is here now. And there was a few releases, but this is where like a lot of the games started to become like remakes or taking what was they already had and putting them in like a new game, but not a new game, which you'll see in a few releases in a bit. But we still had some original games, like Samus Returns, for example, which come out near the end of the year.
Samus Returns is a remake, though. I wouldn't say it's original, but
That's true. Yeah, that is a remake. Yeah,
it is remade so much that it might as well be a new game.
that's
like,
how I think about Echoes as well for Fire Emblem.
It's like
Yeah, definitely.
And then we also had like Hey Pikmin.
hey,
No, that wasn't a that was probably the biggest original game for the year, which is a bit of a
Hey
disappointment.
Pikmin is honestly not that bad. It's decent.
It's just
you
one of those games where everyone's clamoring for like Pikmin 4, and they were like, "Here you go."
SBO loved it. He ate it all right up.
Oh, SPA's like a fanboy though.
Yeah, of course.
It's like me. If they released fucking Hey Xenoblade, I'd be all over that.
What would that even be like?
I think it'll just be like that. It'll just be the Ether Mine section of the first game.
Oh
You'd
god.
have to jump over. You play as a Chibi Shulk with a little Monado.
I'm really failing it.
So yeah, we also had like Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. That was another remake, and then we had Pokemon Ultra Sun Ultra Moon, which was
Okay.
you know,
Ultra Sun and Ultra
another
Moon,
re-release,
in
essentially.
some ways, is better than Sun and Moon, but they absolutely destroyed the story.
Yep.
Like
Butchered it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, they butchered Luzamine's character. They, in Sun and Moon, she was a bit crazy, but you loved her for it. But in this game, she's misunderstood. She's trying to help everybody after all. She's not evil. She's not crazy.
I think the end of that game is like such a big blur as well, because don't you end up fighting like you're in like this really like black city, and you end up fighting Necrozma or something.
Ultra Necrozma, yeah, that was a sick boss fight though.
It was a hard boss fight too.
The boss fight that kills Nuzlocke runs.
It was yeah, that was one of the hardest boss fights I think Pokemon's had, to be honest.
Yeah, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were just a little harder overall, which I appreciated though.
I would also like to just touch on Superstar Saga quickly because I didn't finish the Game Boy Advance game because I got lost in Joke's End, the little maze at the end of the game.
Oh, that place sucked.
Yeah, it did suck. And I played the remake, and I actually really ended up liking the game. And it was really cool because unlike the Bowser's Inside Story remake, which came out the year after, this one was it 60 FPS or
Yeah.
it was, 60 FPS, yeah.
Also, the visuals are just absolutely gorgeous. Like they go back to all strictly 2D, unlike Paper Jam and
Yes, they do.
Dream Team, and I just think it looks absolutely stellar.
Mm.
And the important thing is, Superstar Saga Remake actually had a reason to exist, unlike Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that, of course.
They skipped Partners in Time.
Yeah, why? Partners in Time could have really done with a remake.
I agree.
What?
I don't think visually it needed one, but like they could have tweaked some things in the gameplay to make it a bit better. A bit like they were doing with like some of the Wii U games, like Wind Waker HD. So we'll get into 2018. This, oh my god, like the release.
Wow, it's fucking nothing.
Wait, no, there's Halo 3.
There we go.
Oh yeah, Halo 3. Okay,
Fucking hell, Joe.
okay.
So WarioWare Gold, I actually really liked.
WarioWare Gold is, in my opinion, the last good original first-party Nintendo game on the 3DS. Too bad it fell under the radar.
I agree. It's another game though where they took like micro games from many of the other WarioWare games and just stuffed them into like one big collection.
Yeah, but it also included a lot more. Like you had like different modes. Like you could unlock Gamer from Game & Wario in WarioWare Gold. Yeah, you can unlock Gamer in it.
Come on.
There's a lot of cool things in there.
Yeah. Actually had effort put into it.
There was a remake of Luigi's Mansion as well, which I don't know how you guys felt about, because like I said, I haven't played the Luigi's Mansion, but this used the art style of Dark Moon.
Okay,
I skipped it.
Remaking the first Luigi's Mansion game, not a bad idea at all. Remaking it for the 3DS and releasing it in 2018, very bad idea. I know nobody that got that.
The next Luigi's Mansion.
Like, I'm glad they fixed Luigi's model, because Luigi's model in the first game always looked off to me, mainly the face. But
I think that's part of the charm, right?
This game did not need to exist. This remake should have been on the Switch. Like, it doesn't even work very well on the 3DS from what I heard. Like, you know how you had the C-stick to control the flashlight? You have to use a gyroscope in the remake, or use the nub on the new 3DS, and apparently it doesn't work very well.
Well, it's the fucking nub.
Like, the controls are just straight up worse in the 3DS remake. Also, the multiplayer I heard is terrible because you have the second player play as Luigi, and apparently it's incredibly laggy.
All right. So they didn't really fix the problems from Dark Moon then, really, for the multiplayer.
Well, no, the issue was not that it lagged in Dark Moon. It was that it was just a bit buggy. Like, you had random glitches coming up that made the game unwinnable. That was
like a late 3DS game, though. You would have thought they would have been a bit used to the hardware at this point to like fix stuff like that.
Yeah, no, and also it was done by Grezzo.
Yeah.
And Grezzo have proven themselves to make great remakes. So what happened here?
That's true, yeah.
Speaking of what happened here, we'll quickly touch on Bowser's Inside Story.
Why was this game made? This game killed Alpha Dream.
Yeah.
I actually have a bit of resentment for the Bowser's Inside Story remake because of that now.
I think it was a last-ditch effort to retain some money, but no one was playing the 3DS at this point, I don't think. No one was interested in it.
Yeah.
And this remake even, it was 30 frames per second.
Yeah, in some ways it's worse than the DS original. Like, it runs at half the frame rate. It doesn't even do anything to improve it, because Bowser's Inside Story is already nearly perfect.
Yeah.
What more could you add? Oh, we'll let you fast-forward cutscenes since Paper Jam's like, yeah, and Bowser Jr.'s journey. Yeah, but it's just more of Bowser's minions from the Superstar remake. And guess what? That mode sucked.
I was
so you just
ask
did the exact same thing, and guess what? That sucked too.
Yeah. What was you going to say, Joe?
I was just going to say it's weird that like they didn't remake it for the Switch or anything like that.
I know, yeah. I think
it's like a decade-old handheld.
That's the thing. I think the biggest thing for me that put me off maybe getting the remake was the fact it half the frame rate. I don't see that like you said, Gavin. I think that's what killed it really for a lot of people.
Yeah,
made it worse than the original.
Yeah, it's objectively worse than the original, depending on who you ask. But why stop there? Because we have another pointless remake.
We do indeed, in the form of Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. I didn't play Epic Yarn on the Wii.
Okay, who asked for it? Like, I get it. Like, I know Good Feel already ported Yoshi's Woolly World to the 3DS, but who asked for Kirby's Epic Yarn in 2019?
Me.
And here's the thing, I played the demo.
It's
I
always
played the
you,
demo
Tom.
of Epic Yarn on the 3DS, and it's not as good as the original because it has screen crunch. If you don't know
Yeah,
what
I've
it is,
seen that. Yeah.
yeah, the camera is more zoomed in, so you see less around you. It's like, we're in 2019. Why are we still dealing with screen crunch?
What was actually extra? What was the extra bit? Like, what did they add?
Like you
Co-op.
could have, yeah, no, co-op was in the original, but
Oh.
it had things like you could give Kirby like a life bar, new power-ups, and that was about it. There was not much else there.
I like the way that Gavin announcing to like a stadium full of people, like, "Who asked for this? Who's responsible?"
You are the enemy.
How dare you? Good Feel, you betrayed me.
I think that was like, it's funny because at the end of my notes I've got 2020, 3DS dead. I think there was a few games to come out for it, but like nothing from Nintendo.
Yeah, apparently, like there was like an insider that said that Nintendo pretty much cancelled all their other 3DS plans because of Bowser's Inside Story's failure.
That wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
To be fair, like,
I mean,
there's no point milking this any more than like.
No,
I
it was
mean-
built way too long.
Yeah, I do feel that the 3DS died prematurely, but at the same time, it's not its fault. Like the Switch just came along and just took over. Like
Yeah.
the writing was on the wall once the Switch came out.
I'm not too sure how much more they could have done with the 3DS, but
Plus, there's also the change in landscape when it comes to handheld gaming as a whole.
that's true. And like you said, the Switch just completely stole its thunder.
It's
And
like-
I love the Switch, to be honest. So
Yeah, me too. Even with
Well,
the
then-
Joy-Con drift. Like, I mean, I'm at least glad the 3DS ended up being successful in the end.
yeah, and it gave like the most important thing for me is that like it gave us a lot of memories, and I think
Yeah.
I mean for me it lasted from the start of me leaving school all the way up to my current job. So
yeah.
it
Mad,
was
isn't it?
I know it was a long time, and I think the last game I got for it, or the last brand new game I got for it was I think it must have been Samus. Oh no, it was WarioWare Gold, so it was a couple of years ago now.
Oh, same here.
Does anyone want to say a few last words on their thoughts for the system?
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
I loved it.
I played my 2 games.
Yeah, I
Street
enjoyed
Fighter and Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I still think the DS was overall better, just because it had more consistent quality. And
Yeah.
the 3DS is 10 years old next year. Can you believe that?
I know it's gone by ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
Too fast.
Like, yeah, the 3DS came and went too quickly. Like, I wish it died more gracefully, like the DS did.
Yeah,
But no, instead we got 3 remakes / ports that we never needed, and it just killed the system off for good.
I think it was a confusing time for Nintendo because they didn't really know what to do with it once they had the Switch.
It also represents, the shift in handheld gaming market, because you look at the sales for the 3DS, even though it was successful, it only sold like half the units of the original DS.
Yeah, no, it did. Yeah, that's the thing. Even with its amazing library, because one of the games I failed to mention, because it wasn't really a big 3DS release, but unless you're in the know, is Dragon Quest 8. That's the way I experienced that game, and it got me into Dragon Quest, which is one of my favorite series now. That was a full big PS2 game on the 3DS, which I thought was amazing. So, but no, I love the 3DS.
I love the 3DS. I'm pretty sure Tom loves the 3DS too.
Yeah,
you too,
damn
Joe.
right.
I think.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you say I only played Street Fighter and Fire Emblem, but you got to appreciate, I played a lot. Of
Yeah,
Street
that's
Fighter
it.
and Fire Emblem. How many hours in a year? I've probably given like a year's worth in Fire Emblem.
I was gonna say because apart from the Switch, the 3DS is probably my biggest library for a system. There's
I'm
so many
looking
good
at
games on
mine.
it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my 3DS library right now. I actually own 50 games for it.
Yeah, I
It's
think I've got
actually
about 40
it's
odd.
actually the second highest amount of games I have for any system, just behind the original DS, which has like 53 games.
Yeah, the DS is a great
And
library
still
as well.
counting, like, I'm certainly not going to stop playing 3DS games. Like, I actually really want to play. We didn't mention it, but Tomodachi Life. Does anyone remember when that game came out?
I remember.
Yeah, I really want to play that game because I watched Vinesource play it. Vinny.
Yeah.
He edits
Well,
on
so-
Captain Southbird. I really want to play that game now. put us
Well,
all
probably-
into an apartment, just see what hilarity ensues.
That was a funny game when it came out. But we'll cap it off there. I think we've had a really good discussion of like the 3DS and its lifespan. Like Gavin said, I'll probably carry on playing the 3DS for a few years to come, especially because there's a few games that I missed out on that I'm wanting to play. So, but yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. I hope we'll probably reconvene for another topic when it kicks off.
Maybe.
Do you?
The Switch.
What's that? Sorry. For the death of the Switch, did you say, Joe?
No, 10 years of the Switch.
10 years of the Switch, yeah, fucking hell.
Oh yeah,
That'll come faster than we know. Before we go, does anyone want to like plug anything? Do you want to start off, Joe? Because I know you've got your own channel and whatnot.
Yeah,
Cast is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
I got a YouTube channel called ACJ. You can find it by searching either just ACJ or ACJ New Radicals, stuff like that. I'll send Ben a link so he can link it in the description. But make funny music reviews. I've got a new review coming out soon. And follow me on Twitter, Super ACJ.
Watch him; he's good.
Yes,
thanks.
watch him very closely, please.
Yeah.
Gavin, have you seen my videos?
I've seen a few.
Ooh.
Oh,
Well, it's
new
mainly
fan.
from the Super Show, though.
Oh no! I've got a new channel.
Oh, wait, does that mean I have to put the Super Show now?
No, it's not. I'm not part of Video Show anymore.
So
That's the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Goes
We'll talk about that in a minute.
All right, guys. Cheers for joining me. Did you, Tom, want to say anything, Gavin?
Yeah, I'm sorted.
You're good.
This went a lot better than I expected. I really thought it was going to be hugely disorganized, but no,
Shit show.
it went all right.
It's somewhat structured, yeah.
10 out of 10 would do again.
All right, guys. I'll let you get off. Cheers for joining me.
God,
Till next time.
Stop. You crazy character.